I need to know. Who am I? Where do I belong?
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the channel if this is your first time. This is a book review that bounces off a reading event that was started by MJ at Reading This Life, which was the 24BB book event, which is basically about highlighting, celebrating, discussing banned books. And the idea is that anyone that takes part is going to try to read 24 banned books. I'm a little bit behind. So earlier in the year, I got quite a few read, and I read 8, but then there was a big gap. So this is actually the 9th one. So I don't know if I'll get to 24, but it's a very important subject to talk about on BookTube. The whole idea of books being banned or challenged or taken out of libraries, taken out of schools. And the book that I'm talking about today is one of the most challenged books in America. It's one of the most banned books from schools in America. It's astonishing how much it's been had that kind of treatment. And it's also interesting the fact that it seems to me that it's clearly a race issue. And I'm talking about The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman Alexie. Sherman Alexie, a Native American writer. He never ever says Native American in this. He refers to himself as Indian, and he's been doing that in interviews as well, which is an interesting aspect to it from someone who isn't Native American and has been told that's the right term to use. And all the way through this book, the character and every other character talks about Indians. That's something else that could be something to think about, to look into maybe. The words that we use and how the people themselves use those words, if you like. But anyway, Sherman Alexie is a Native American writer who has written this semi-autobiographical book that's not quite in diary form, so it's called a diary. It is like a diary because it's got very personal reflections on what happened that day, but they're not sort of diary entries with dates. They've all got titles, right? My sister sends me a letter that's called Hunger Pains, and then there's How to Fight Monsters, and they're very short chapters. It's a very readable book. The language used, the vocabulary used, and as I say, the short chapters makes it kind of a young adult book. It's definitely for a young audience. But I think you can really appreciate this and enjoy it as an adult. I really enjoyed it. So I was quite affected by some of it as well. I found some of it quite emotional, and it really brought you along on the ride really well. It really sort of sucked you in, and it's an extremely endearing book, I think. So it's a diary of a teenage Native American, as I say, always referred to as an Indian in the book, and his journey through high school, and his relationship with his best friend, his relationship with a new friend that he makes, a white boy that he wants to make friends with, and eventually there is a friendship, but it's a little bit of an awkward beginning. His attraction to someone in the second school it goes to, so a little bit of growing pains in him trying to find his first love as well. His relationship with his parents, especially his dad, his grandparents, his sister, that's developed really well. And another father figure in it, which is the coach for the basketball team. All that stuff is brilliant. The stuff with the basketball element, the basketball coach, and other things besides. There's quite a lot that's covered in this. In a very short book as well, and he'll cover quite a lot in like 2 pages of recollection about this particular day. And he's got a very good talent for saying something very profound in not a lot of words, in a very simplistic way, which I think is really clever. So it's an extremely endearing and profound book. So the significant element of this, the thing that drives the plot, is that he decides quite early on that he wants to change schools. So he's not in the school that everyone at the reservation goes to, and it's in another district, which is basically the white school. And he's going to be the only Native American there. And the reservation believes that, or his kids, the friends, the other kids, his friends on the reservation think that he's betrayed them by moving schools, and that becomes a big part of it. And his relationship with his best friend is hugely hurt by this move to this white school, and he obviously is a fish out of water. He's expected to be picked on, but he's also picked on in the reservation anyway, so that's another element to it. And basically all these different relationships he has, and the way that he grows up, and he learns a lot about himself, and he learns a lot about other people, learns a lot about race through these things that happen to him at school and on the basketball team and stuff like that. And it's so well done. It really is so well done. It covers quite a lot of themes. So you've got themes of racism, themes of family, puberty, of him going through these changes, and the idea of that coming of age kind of story. All these father figures, so his actual father, it features a fair amount in it, and the coach, which kind of acts as a father figure as well. The state of the reservation itself, and there's a very long running thread, quite a significant, profound thread about alcoholism. And the little research I'd done into the reservations, I know there is a problem with alcoholism in the Indian reservations. So I know that reflected what I already had heard. So that was quite a serious part of the book that I think is very, very clear in it, and it's mentioned quite subtly, and then sometimes it's mentioned in a more direct way, but most of the time it's quite a subtle thing. And a lot of the adult males are alcoholics in the story, so it covers that as well. But it's written with this kind of childlike tone, which is a very upbeat tone, and as I say, it's very endearing. It brings you in. You are expecting Arnold, the main character, to kind of pick himself up again every time he's hurt or beaten up, that kind of thing, because of the way it's written, which I think is a really good way of telling this very serious perspective to someone from the outside. So someone from, I think that its strength lies in the idea of telling the Native American perspective to a white person. I'm sure that Native Americans would relate to it and appreciate their perspective being told, but I think it's an important message to get across, that there's still a problem, there's still an issue within these reservations, and with people being accepted outside the reservations. So I think that's a really important general point that this book is making. I just want to point out a couple of moments in the book that I particularly liked. There's a bit, I don't think I'm really spoiling it too much by telling you that there's a bit where there's a funeral for his grandmother. So a little bit of a plot point, but it's fine. It wouldn't really spoil it. And I won't tell you what happens, but there's a really funny bit in the funeral that was just fantastic. I didn't know where it was going, and where it went was brilliant. And I hadn't really read anything like that before, and I thought that was great. So that was a really nice thing. So if you've read this, you might know what I mean. But if not, flag that up when you're reading it, because it's a really cool bit. And then the other thing I wanted to say, which I'm definitely not going to spoil this because it really would spoil it, but his relationship with his sister is really, really good. It's one of my favourite parts of the book, as well as his relationship with the coach. But the thing with the relationship with his sister, there's kind of two things that happen to her. And the second thing that happens to her really affected me, and I realised how well this story was being told, and how well I was being brought into Alexie Sherman's storytelling, by how much that second thing affected me. So I think that's a real testament to the book. So yeah, I really liked his relationship with his sister, and his sister as a character. I thought she was really interesting. And again, you've got this sort of buoyant energy with her side of the story as well, which is really good. That idea of the way it's told, that sort of buoyant energy, and the sort of almost fourth wall breaking side of it, if you like, the way that it's written, kind of reminded me of Ferris Bueller, the sort of tone of it. And you've got that kind of Holden Caulfield thing going on as well from Catcher in the Rye. You've got that sense of someone giving you a private viewing of his own private life through the storytelling, especially as it's not really a diary. You know, if it was a diary, it would feel less like that. You're just reading someone's diary. But because it was, each chapter was titled like a story, then I think that, again, gave you that idea that he was letting you into a secret, if you like. So I like that aspect of it as well. So yeah, I really like this, but this is frequently challenged and banned from schools. And clearly there's a message about the way that Native Americans are treated in America, the way they feel as a community, the repercussions of that treatment, like the alcohol problem and the lack of ambition, the small worldview of some of the people that lived on the reservation, that kind of thing. That's all kind of a consequence of this institutionalized racism, if you like. So that sort of stuff is clearly what whoever it is that's banning this book is afraid of being exposed, I guess. Because I can't think of anything else that would make someone want to ban this book. It's a very cozy book, really, because of the way it's told. It's not particularly shocking, but it has got lots of elements of it that would be shocking if you didn't want to know about that side of Native American life. So I do think that this book being so challenged and so banned is a sad reflection of institutionalized racism, because that clearly is the only reason why you would ban this book, because you don't like the perspective of the Native American being offered to children in schools and libraries. That has to be the only reason, which is a real shame. So I would recommend this, but also I'd recommend this to kids to read, to learn more about how Arnold feels and the other people that are on the reservation, and a chance to get their perspective and to maybe think about the state of the reservations, and that idea that, you know, what the relationship is between the reservation and the neighbouring sort of white districts as well. That's really, really important. But it's a nice way of finding out, because it's quite a gentle book with a really important, profound message in it. So yeah, I don't think it should be banned at all. So there we are. This is in addition to the other books I've done on this project. I think it's a really important project, and this is a really good example of why, because this is important. So there we are. Look out for it. The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian. Thanks for watching. Stay curious.
Picture of what it's like to be